Hey everybody, it's John Sileo. I'm sitting in my home office like many of you are doing right now in the same situation. I'm feeling isolated, out of touch with friends, and frankly, I'm feeling kind of helpless. Like, what can I do to help people out? And, I've got a lot of friends and colleagues and former audience members that are in the same boat. They are moving to a virtual or remote work from home type scenario. And, it made me think of how much our cyber risk increases when we go mobile, when we go remote. And frankly, I just wanted to be able to help out and add some value in this incredibly difficult time. If you're going through any of this, my heart is with you. We're struggling here and doing everything we can, but we also have a ton of optimism. And here's part of it. I've seen in the middle of all kinds of cyber crises, right? Breaches, companies going down, getting hit. And we are so resilient and we are so good at bouncing back and we're so good at defending what is most important to us. But sometimes that gives us this narrow, focused, myopic view. We tend to see the greatest threat, which right now is the COVID-19 virus, the epidemic, and we focus on it so heavily that we forget about everything else going on, the other threats. And that cyber risk is greater now than it has ever been because we are distracted, because cybercriminals take advantage of headlines like pandemics and coronavirus. So you really have to be conscious, not just of the primary threat, but of everything else going on around it. And I thought maybe I could help out and give you some tips to lock down your virtual remote offices, whether you work for a corporation or have a small business of your own. Now, today's tip is going to be more about the home office, the virtual office for an entrepreneur, not necessarily how a corporation would handle their remote workers. But I'll tell you in a bit about a webinar that I'm going to put together to help out with both sides. So probably one of the greatest threats that we see is when people go remote is they don't have the same encryption that they would if they were in a corporate office. And encryption, especially whole disk encryption, is absolutely vital. Let me explain encryption and whole disk encryption. That's simply where you put a long enough password on your computer, and we'll talk more about that in the webinar, the passwords, but you put a long enough password on your computer and you turn on the encryption, which generally by default is not turned on, meaning your computer is not locked up digitally like it needs to be. So encryption scrambles the data, and if you don't have that key, that password to get into your computer, or could even be your mobile device, you just can't get at the data. I mean, this is exceptionally difficult to crack encryption these days because it's so good. So on Windows systems, it comes with an encryption tool called Bitlocker. On Macs, it comes with File Vault. But again, those generally are not turned on by default. Now, I don't have time and all the tools to show you here, but when we do the webinar, I will walk through one of those cases, probably on a Mac because that's what I'm currently using, how to turn that on so that your device is encrypted. If you don't know about encryption, if you want to learn more, you can certainly Google it, look it up, or you can join us for the webinar. The details are below. It's all about ways to protect your remote office, to turn on encryption, to stop ransomware, to train your people working remotely on how to detect phishing, social engineering, pretexting, that type of stuff. I'm going to try and keep it short, maybe run 45 minutes or so. We'll do some question and answer. All of the details for the webinar are below. If you click on that link, you can find out more about it, decide if you want to go, and you can also register there. I do need you to register because we've had quite a lot of demand for this, and I think we're going to limit the size a little bit so that we can have some good communication back and forth. Frankly, it's going to be the first webinar I've run all by myself, right? I don't have my staff of 5 there with me running stuff, so it could be a little glitchy. It'll be fun, and I hope to see you there. Click below. Don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel so that you get these tips every time I come out with them. Thanks so much. I hope you're well. I hope you're healthy, and I hope to see you on the webinar.